Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to day 53 of the 90-day live chat. My name is Frank Brewer. I'm the director at New Path Psychology and a clinical psychologist. Today I want to talk a little bit about the sentence, "You don't have to be nuts to see a psychologist." Well, it's actually not my sentence, but somehow it came, I thought about it, and it's an interesting sentence because obviously it tries to express that it's normal to see a psychologist. You don't have to be very sick or very ill. And it's true. It seems that there's still the belief around that, at least amongst some people, that you have to be very sick or very crazy or very whatever, disturbed before you should go and see a psychologist. And actually some clients say, "Well, Frank, do you think I'm right here? Am I not taking the spot away from somebody who needs it more than I do?" and so forth. So I believe there's some sort of like an undercurrent, so a belief that's not really visible or clear about the nature of the clients or presentations that we actually see. And no wonder that it's like that, because psychiatry or medicine, they have a history of pathologizing, I should say. So that means to label and to really stigmatize by labeling, by putting a name onto a condition or upon a symptomatology. So it's no wonder that people believe they have to be very sick to come to see someone like us. So it reminded me actually about something that I've learned very early in the piece. So it was sort of loosely related to the medical model. And in essence, a very short version of the medical model is first, the condition or the symptoms are individualized. Then they are sort of labeled or diagnosed with a word or the diagnosis. And the last thing is the treatment is sort of a medical treatment, or in the case of psychiatry, people were isolated. They were locked away into wards, which is of course problematic thing in itself. But let's start. I mean, much of the thinking is really individualized. So I have depression, or you have depression, or Auntie XYZ has depression. However, I think it would be more helpful to think of it as somebody is actually the symptom bearer, which is probably particularly true when it comes to children. So what that means is basically, say the family system or the environment has an influence on the person who experiences trouble. And the other way around is also true. So it might be that a child who has, say, difficulties concentrating, of course, is a little bit harder on the parents than a child who has a sort of a different temperament. But it's also true for let's say depression. I mean, if someone is depressed, even mildly depressed, it has an effect on other family members, including but not limited to the children. So instead of individualizing the problem, I think a good psychological perspective is to always see the context, yeah? So, and the person who has, in inverted comma, the problem is only the symptom bearer. All right. So yeah, with labeling, and we're very close to pathologize someone, and this is kind of tricky because people who experience say difficult situations like depression or anxiety, they don't feel very good about themselves in the first place, and when they are then given the label, they feel sort of well, a negative self-definition is being reinforced, yeah. So it's not helpful, and it's certainly not helpful when you consider that it's not an individualized problem in the first place, yeah. So, I mean, I've talked about the benefits of diagnosis in other vlogs, and of course there's an advantage to that too. But in terms of the what's really and actually happening, I think we can easily do without the diagnosis. Yeah. So diagnoses are good for whatever, when professionals talk about it, or sometimes it's also helpful with clients, that they understand what they actually have or experience, that there's a name for it, that the professional can understand what it is, so we can sort of communicate competence with it, yeah, and that we get where the client is coming from and so forth. So, but that's really it for treatment. We don't need any diagnosis, and yeah, not really. Yeah, and the third point is the medicalization. So unfortunately, in this day and age, everybody, I should say, and it's not, of course, not everybody, but really people across the lifespan are treated with medication. Although the root of the problem is often social or psychological, yeah, and no pill can teach you skills, give you better relationships, all these kind of things, and this is sort of the cure is in the pill is really a myth that is not very helpful when it comes to good treatment outcomes. So instead of thinking about illnesses and so forth, we should always see the person in their context and holistically, for many reasons. So, and in psychology, we can really solve problems by not focusing on problems. Yeah, that's a very interesting phenomenon. By developing or strengthening actually the resources, sometimes problem fade, or we need a two-tier approach. That means we need to focus on the strengths that are already there and developing them further, and on the other hand, of course, we need to sort of talk about problems in order to improve problem-solving skills, yeah, into sort of that we look at different parts of a problem, and so we can understand and manage a problem. Wonderful, nothing wrong with that. So, what I'm trying to say is, well, I prefer the definition of when you're stuck in your life situation, whatever it is. This is a good way of, or this is an indicator to see a psychologist, yeah. and you certainly don't have to be nuts. All right, if you have a question related to this topic, feel free to pop it into the comment box or send me a PM, private message. It's all good, and I'm more than happy to respond to your questions or comments. So that's it from me for today, and I shall see you again for day 54 of the 90-day live chat. Thanks for joining, thanks for watching, and bye for now.